This is my story about racing Despair. Despair is a mid-distance option of Ozark Gravel Doom. It involves riding 196 rough, rugged miles and 22,000 soul-sucking feet of elevation within the backcountry of the Ozarks, all while carrying everything I need. The 2025 edition of the race presented some unusual last-minute pivoting. The week of the race, the area received historic amounts of rain, creating dangerous high water conditions. With more pouring rain in the forecast for our start date, the promoter moved our start back a day to allow river levels to subside a bit. Starting the drive down to Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. With storms making even getting to the venue a bit sketchy, this race was living up to its name before it even started. There are severe thunderstorms and flash flood warnings as we get close to Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. New high water courses were sent out, which meant I needed to start fresh on my race plan and study the new route. Temperatures were also a factor leading into the race. The forecast now looked to be wet and close to freezing on the first day, with cooler temperatures on the second and third days. Previously, I'd planned to bivvy, but now my priority was being able to get warm and dry, so I opted for a tent. With storms making even getting to the venue a bit sketchy, this race was living up to its name before it even started. All of this is to say, if I ever had a good reason to back out of a race, this was it. And yet, I showed up, as did just over half of my category. This has to be the worst possible start ever. I turned on my Garmin. I went down and checked it this morning, and long story short, turns out my account wasn't activated. And I had to try to activate my account when they kept trying to send me a text message. We don't have cell service. By some miracle, right as everyone was starting, I got the text. I registered my Garmin account. I had to go through the whole subscription plan rigmarole, and finally I'm off. So there's nobody around, but that's okay. Now I can just ride my own pace, do my own race. It's cold and misting. Probably the worst weather, but perfect for a race called Despair. And yeah, wish me luck. On the first road, and I was quite pleased to see that I could ride across that river crossing early on that was so deep when I drove in before. I did have to stop afterwards and change into my shoes with the shoe covers, but now I'm ready to go. I'm comfy warm and moving a little faster. So I'm actually not upset about my horrible start because I really am just riding my own ride now, and that's my familiarity, that's my happy place, and yeah, just keep chugging away at it. Look how lush and eerie this is with the clouds. There's a gravesite over here on the right. Pavement ends. It's gonna get rowdy. This is just finishing the climb. I think it was Low Gap, out of the valley from Low Gap. We'll see what we have in store here. In the first section of gravel, up on our ridge line, it looks like. There's a rider coming the other way. That's the third one I've seen turned around. I don't know why. Whee! Coach Mike says to push the pace when it's possible. This seems like a good spot to do it. You know, it's really funny. In the last 2 weeks, a month, I've been planning again meticulously for this studying the route, zooming in on every spot, creating these cue cards that I have down here. I don't know if you can see them. Yesterday I went, unpacked everything, repacked it, charged everything. You know, the amount of detail that goes into planning this so you're prepared is insane, but it's something that I enjoy. So, but it's just so crazy that, you know, here I am in like third to last place, and it's because I didn't renew my Garmin subscription. I just find that, and this is the second time, like there's always something that panics me in the very last minute, even after all that planning and researching. The thing that matters is that you keep going anyway. You know, I could have freaked out, I could have given up, couldn't have gone back to the warm cabin, but I didn't. I'm really proud of myself for that. And here I am, exploring a new place I've never seen before. And it's pretty cool. Some blossoming red buds over there. This is a pretty area. I just went by like 3 women. It's really cool to see all of them out there. Met a mechanic, works in a bike shop in Kansas City, Kansas, K-squared, and she was super cool. Her bike was tricked out with all this design, and she's super stoked to be here. Look at these awesome rocks. Ah, this is so cool. Just so eerie and pretty. Water everywhere. Things hanging down over the road. Look at the red buds. Very cool. Hear the cardinal singing. Just came down a gnarly descent, and yeah, I was surprised to be on some pavement for a little while. Okay. Just finished a rather massive hike-a-bike slash ride. I did ride a lot of it. And that was about mile 14. So just trying to clip in here. There we go. Woohoo! That was a big one.
That's a big one.
Good news is, don't have to do that again. Not that particular one, at least. Some of these roads are pretty muddy and slippery. The surface changes a lot. It's not like peanut butter mud, so it's good. I'm at mile 17 and a half. So coming up to the single track pretty soon. It'll be a moral boost to get past the first 20 miles. So
in my race prep, I divided the course into 20-mile sections, studying the elevation and resupply options for each one. Then during the race, I worked towards completing each segment so I could celebrate my successes along the way.
20.3 miles. I made it. Now it's time to set a new goal. Mile 40, next 20 miles. You got this.
I'm going to stop for a second here to introduce a co-star to my video moving forward, my helmet strap. I tried out a new GoPro mount up for this trip and didn't realize I put my camera so close to my strap, and my race brain didn't think to stop and fix it. I'm afraid it's going to be part of the footage moving forward. Hopefully you'll stick with me, but if not, I've got some other strap-free videos you can watch. Okay, you've been warned.
We are in the single track portion of the day. I'm currently riding in Crocs. It's
really cold. And we've been wading through creeks. I should have gotten it on film, but I was a little too shell-shocked. Do you want help? Yeah, let's do a chain line. Oh, God. Ah. Okay. I think we might need to utilize the stick.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the bike down, and then I'm going to get up there and just pull it.
Okay. Do you want me to ride it? Okay, you got it? I'm not sure we got the... Yeah, I probably will need help.
This was one of the gnarlier creek crossings within the single track section. I thought going over to this little island would make it easier. It didn't, but it did almost make me lose my croc. Luckily, it wasn't too difficult to find my footings during the crossings. It was awkward enough carrying a loaded bike through deep water.
Just had my lunch. I was sapping in energy, and I had my peanut butter mocha shake, and that really helped. Yeah. So I'm on a climbing trail called Zeester. I have warm feet again, warm hands. Just trying to stay upright. This is the Azalea Falls portion of the single track. I wonder if I'll see any azaleas or any falls. Guess those are the falls. Pretty.
This Azalea Falls section was my favorite part of the single track. Very scenic and mostly rideable. All of the Upper Buffalo Headwaters single track, which is an IMBA epic, was hand-cut, well-designed, and well-maintained. It'd be a blast in drier conditions to ride. The trail shed water pretty well, but riding on wet single track in Minnesota's clay-based soil is a cardinal sin, so this experience was a new one for me.
Just got my sandals on. Time to cross creek again. Bike's looking very dirty. This looks pretty deep. So we're gonna pick it up.
You might be wondering why I picked my bike up instead of just rolling it through the water. I'm primarily trying to prevent water from getting into my wheel bearings and bottom bracket.
I stopped and filtered water a minute ago from one of these fresh streams. That was pretty nice. Lots of riding in mud today. Look at that. Pretty. It's really pretty up here. That is just the spring growth. One of the mindset hacks I use during any tough event is to try to stay present and observe the beauty of nature around me. The moss on the rocks. It not only distracts me from the effort, but it seems like the most worthy reason to do an event like this in the first place. Okay, starting my third set of 20 miles. Excuse me, 40 through 60. Single track was challenging. The low areas, having to ride in my Crocs because of all the creek crossings, deep ones, so you had to pick up the bike. And then some technical bits, a bit of climbing. But I will say those climbing trails were built really nice. So they weren't like they went straight up. They had switchbacks and stuff. Made it better. So yeah, just chugging along. 40 through 60, here we go. Wow. These guys decided to wash the mud off their bikes in the river here. Well, since I checked in, this is mile 48.8, and just been a lot of rolling roads. I'm halfway through this third block, so trying to stay optimistic. I've been doing really well, and yeah, keep pushing on. This river crossing was super sketchy, very deep and fast flowing. I had already changed into my Crocs at this point. I no longer rolled up my rain pants for crossing. They seemed to dry fast enough without bothering. Oh, God. This part was the strongest current. I didn't lift my foot up at all. I just pushed my whole leg forward against the current one step at a time. I don't know what's going on right now. Apparently the road is a river. So yeah, walking in a river. That creek crossing back there was really strong current. I'd be happy if I never had to do that again. Man, people drive this stuff. I'm glad I'm in a bike, not a car. Starting my third set of 20, 40, 60, yeah. So I just hit 60 miles. Been a very challenging day, but I'm still going. I've been eating and drinking. I filtered water twice and fueled up at the aid station twice with water. I've been drinking regularly, so I think that helps. And I don't know, I'm trying to decide if I should set up camp in about 4 miles at the Ozark General Store or push on 14 more miles, which includes a massive climb, so that I could stay at the neutral aid cabin. Well, outside, they don't let you come inside, but Mike said to stop when you feel like you have another 2 hours in you. If I went to that cabin, I'm not sure I would have another 2 hours in me. But I do have another 2 hours in me right now. So maybe that's my answer. 4 miles from the aid cabin. And yes, I decided to push on because it was so cold after descending. I figured it would be better to keep going and warm up on the climb. About this climb, 4 miles to the aid cabin, I said, I think all 4 miles are climbing. Just keep pecking away at it. See the flag for the aid cabin? 12 hours and 27 minutes of riding today, or elapsed time. Oh wow. I did it. I made my goal. It feels good.
A little about my goals. Each day, I had a target for how far I would like to go and where I would spend the night. They were meant to be flexible based on how I was feeling, because I really didn't know how I would do with all the climbing. But, spoiler alert, I was quite stoked to hit my target each day.
73.2 miles.
The Stargazer cabin was offered as a neutral aid place along the route. They provided a much-needed bike wash, a place to camp outside, and some warmth indoors while enjoying some hot food and chatting with friends. It was truly a godsend at the end of a cold, rainy day.
And I am excited to say I am out at 6:47 in the morning. That's got to be a new record for me. So, yeah, as expected, did not sleep last night, but I did get rest. So, closed my eyes and relaxed, and that was good. And I stayed warm. So, yeah, turns out my tent poles that they sent to replenish the ones I lost in Arizona are the wrong ones. Close enough, but my my tent looks very wonky. But yeah, we make do. So here we go, another big day in the Ozarks. Look how pretty this is. Look at that. Beautiful. First off-road section of the day and a climb. So back home on the trainer all winter, I've been annoyed by Coach Mike's workouts that make me just hold one power for a long time. But now I see why that's important, because that's what hill climbs are. Just one long, steady power output. It's really helping to call back on those experiences and know I can do them. So, excuse me, a little bit about my clothing that I wore yesterday. I had a base layer, like a sleeveless base layer from Pactimo. Short sleeve merino Pactimo jersey. And then my Pactimo jacket that I typically wear in 40 degrees, around that temperature. And then layered over that, I had an Outdoor Research ultralight rain jacket. And then for bottoms, I had bibs and then Pactimo knee warmers and rain pants. And that combination seemed to work really well for the creek crossings. But today, it's going to be warmer, so no rain jacket. I'm wearing my brushed fleece leggings over bibs so I can take them off if I get warm. And I also have a sun shirt, which I imagine probably take my jacket off by the end of the day and just be riding my sun shirt with a short sleeve wool jersey below it. So if you're following any of that, that's my clothing. Top of the hill, or at least this top. Sun's coming up. So nice to see blue sky. This is just so pretty. Look at this. The clouds hanging over the valley. That is cool. Oh, look at that.
Moments of beauty like this one always lifted my spirits and reminded me what a privilege it was to be riding in this beautiful place.
Look, Ma, I get to keep my shoes on. Whenever you descend down to a valley, you know you gotta climb right away. It is what it is. I had to show you this. You see these all along in here. They're great for filtering water. And they're pretty. Finished my first 20 of the day. About probably 3/4 way through that climb out of the valley. But yeah. Yay! Here comes 20 through 40. Let's go. That was pretty funny a second ago. There is a group of 3 side-by-sides, a bunch of guys in there, and they wanted to come onto the road, and I was currently spinning in very easy gear going up a very steep switchback, and I'm like, they're waving me forward, and I'm like, it might take a while. And they're like, we got all kinds of time. Had a quick stop in Deer for my resupply. That was nice. Mostly resupplying the food for day 3 on the bike. Still planning to camp overnight tonight. Yeah, very basic little store, but nice to see it there. This was kind of a different landscape. Get more open views. Here I am, somewhere in the Ozarks.
I was able to ride descents like this one much faster on day 2, now that the roads had dried out and weren't so slippery with mud.
I can say that this is mile 40, so I'm starting my next 20 of the day, which would be 40 through 60, and that's pretty cool. Whew. Look at that view. The lower I get in the valley, the wetter it gets. I guess that makes sense.
The roads were pretty saturated in the valleys. Their springy surfaces sucked at my tires and required me to spend more precious energy to produce power to get through.
We're really in the valley. Look at that. Must be the Buffalo River. Pretty. But I think this is rideable. Let's hope we don't get the feet wet. Yay. There were many steep hike-a-bikes like this one along the route. At least I had my helmet strapped to keep me company. That hill broke me. Just straight up. And now we're just gonna go right back down again. What was the point? Oh, I shouldn't talk too soon. Maybe we're still climbing. This is the flattest I've seen on this entire route. I'm in shock at how flat this is. I know it won't last. Okay, I've reached my third set of 20 miles. I'm at mile 60. At the top of this next hill was the campground where I'd planned to stop. But it was only 4:30 p.m., so I debated whether or not to keep going. But with prospects dim for camping along the mostly private lands further on, I decided to take the rest now and get an early start in the morning. I'm sure that this decision was one that made me drop in the overall standings, but I could live with it because I was continuing to nail my own race plan. Got up at 3, left at 4, and getting some early miles before the heat and the wind. Last day, I can do this. Patience. 3 major climbs today, right off, well, 3 big climbs right off the bat, and then 2 major ones, and then 1 final big climb at the end. Just hope these dogs don't kill me. They're coming. Almost got attacked by dogs. We've moved on to some wide gravel road. It's really cool to see the stars out. I've had several creek crossings already, and my feet got wet, which is not fun. But I'm moving forward, trying to finish out that first 20 miles. Changed into dry socks. Hopefully that helps a bit with my freezing feet. That's where I've been climbing. I guess that was Arkansas Grand Canyon I just climbed up. To explain why it was so hard, but look how beautiful. Yeah. First 20 miles down, starting the second 20 through 40. It's been quite a morning already. We're making progress. And we got soaking wet feet again. Just got off a big dirt climb onto a road climb. I'm gonna do a shout out to mile 30 because those last 5 miles were quite difficult and I got through them. So yay. Look at this. Mile 40, third set of 20s coming up. I'll stop and have some lunch. Climbing. In the valley just before the final climb, I was treated to what I later learned was wisteria, a flowering vine that was growing all over the trees and across the road. Even though I knew it was likely an invasive vine, it still looked and smelled incredible. I think I've mostly finished that final climb. Yeah, it really killed me. At least most of it was rideable. All right, one more push. Now for some single track to finish it out, which I'm guessing isn't going to be easy. Thanks. Thank you. This is pretty. It's too pretty to not stop and admire. Oh, thank you. Yay! Oh my Lord. Thank you, everybody. That was nice. Thank you.
Amazing work.
Thanks. Whew.
Got a patch for you. Sit and just finish your throne over here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and stop your ride.
For the hubby.
Yes, I've been taking everybody's photos, so that's perfect.
So that's my despair story, my first completed bikepacking race. I learned that I can adapt to changing conditions, look to nature to provide comfort, and push aside discomfort to meet my goals. Now it was time for some rest. Thanks for watching.